that some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. This was a famous quote from a well-known American leader. Can anyone guess who? Well, the answer is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was one of the greatest leaders of all time, but one thing about him is that he was an introvert. Sadly, many people are convinced that introverts cannot make good leaders, but I disagree. I believe that introverts, just like anyone else, can make great leaders. In this speech, I will discuss this topic by first talking about why some believe this argument, then the differences between an extroverted and introverted leader and their different styles of leadership, and finally, we'll take a look at some historical examples of introverted leaders. So, why do some people believe that introverts cannot make good leaders? Well, there's no exact answer to this question because in actuality, I happen to find that two types of people have different opinions on the topic, which are, of course, the extroverts and then the introverts. And hopefully, we will find the answer. So, to start off, we'll discuss the extroverts. According to psychologytoday.com, the main reason behind this thought process and the research is that a key element to leadership is good social skills, which, as we all know, are somewhat lacking in introverts. These social skills were shown to be required by both sides, introverts and extroverts, to be a more successful leader. In the study, extroverts were shown to have these social skills more often than the introverts did, making the extrovert look more like you're a stereotypical leader. And this actually makes sense, as in most of the media we see today, the stereotypical leader is considered to be the confident, outgoing, charismatic person, which more aligns with the extrovert than the introvert. Now that we understand why an extrovert might believe that an introvert cannot be a good leader, we should look at the introverted side. According to QZ.com, their research states that the reason they do not tend to become leaders is because they just lack confidence. In the research, they examined the personality of 184 business students. They used leadership exercises and personality questionnaires to examine how these students were feeling. And after they did the exercises, they found that the more introverted students showed a more negative emotions, such as fear, nervousness, and distress. And their positive responses were less plentiful than negative responses. So now that we understand why people would believe introverts cannot make good leaders, let us examine the typical traits of an introverted leader and compare them to the typical traits of an extroverted leader. According to Inc.com, introverted leaders are motivated by productivity, then they try to build more meaningful relationships to others, they don't get easily distracted, and they tend to solve thoroughness rather than hastily. Now, according to journeyfront.com, extroverted leaders tend to be better at forming fast associations with others, work better in group settings, are more confident, and have highly self-reliant tendencies. At first glance, the differences between the two groups are extremely obvious. Introverted leaders are more quiet, personal, thorough, and exact, while extroverted leaders are better working with larger groups, can form associations quickly, and are very confident. An introverted leader would more than likely work in a small group, unlike an extrovert, which would work much better in a more crowded environment with more people. Now that we mostly understand their typical traits, let's compare the styles of leadership. According to TrueScore.com, the leadership style of an introvert involves more repetition to gain a more thorough outcome, and are said to be hard workers. However, the extrovert style of leadership supposedly relies on engaging others and more openly detailing the aspects of data. And if the styles of leadership, just like the traits, are extremely different. The introverted leaders are stated to have a more enclosed but thorough style of leadership that works much better in smaller environments, unlike extroverted leaders, which are more open and relies on engaging with others. Finally, we will examine the historical evidence of great introverted leaders to further support my argument. However, before we discuss our first leader, does anyone remember the leader I mentioned at the start? Well, Abraham Lincoln was one of the great introverted leaders. Abraham Lincoln, as we all know, did many great things, such as abolish slavery in America and set America on a path for a more equal future. Now, what made him an introvert? Well, according to 16personalities.com, Abraham Lincoln was not known to be a very talkative person, but rather relied on his confidence to carry him. He was also considered to be a very persuasive speaker, but not in the way an extroverted leader would be. but instead imbued every word he said with a sense of it needing to be shared. The next leader is Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of the Indian independence movement. He was another great introvert leader. He did such things as fight against racial discrimination in South America, and was even the leading figure for India achieving independence from Britain. Now, what made him an introvert? Well, according to Inc.com, he was a very quiet man who preferred to revolt non-violently instead of embracing violence. The final leader is Bill Gates, the founder and current CEO of Microsoft, and he was another amazing introvert leader. He did such things as establishing Microsoft, the most successful computer software program, and even co-developed the basic programming language called BASIC for Altair. Now, what made him an introvert? Well, Bill Gates uses introverted nature to study and examine data to make quiet and thorough observations. Also, he was known to prefer to working in smaller groups, which is exactly how his company had started. In conclusion, what can we take from all this information? Well, the information shows that introverts can be amazing leaders and sometimes even the best leaders. Sadly, many people do tend to overlook these types of people, and hopefully, after hearing the speech, you'll consider looking at introverts as possible leaders, even when there are a plethora of extroverted leaders that exist.